Today, I'm going to show you exactly what Bitcoin ATMs are good for white labeling and some details if you're possibly thinking about becoming a Bitcoin ATM owner like myself. So I'm going to tell you which one I'm probably going to order. My name is Michael Kubera. Let's discuss Bitcoin ATMs part 2 today. Woo! Roll the intro. So let's get this right off the bat. A Bitcoin ATM machine isn't going to be cheap. It's going to cost you a few $1,000s. In some cases, it can go all the way up to $15,000 to $20,000. So obviously, I think that some of these companies that are producing these ATMs are making a good amount of money. Maybe 30, 60, 100% margins. Who knows what their profit is? I'm sure they were making much higher profit margins back in 2017, but they could be upping the margins right now with 2020 with DeFi hype. So anyways, we know one thing. Bitcoin ATMs, there's over 10,000 of them in the world. Most of them are based in the US, and there's a demand for them in Europe. So there's a lot of people who want to buy or sell Bitcoin or maybe possibly altcoins. So my best advice is if you want to start in it but you don't know where, follow the same strategy that I'm going to do. You're going to start small. You're going to get the smallest and one of the cheapest ATMs out there, because as much data, as much planning, as much research as you can do, you won't fully understand the demographic of your city in terms of crypto purchasers until you actually have some real data from your own personal ATMs, or you find someone who's actually willing to share it with you in your local city. But it's a little bit difficult to do that because it's just asking someone up front, a possible mentor. Well, most cities don't have many ATMs going on. So especially if you're in Europe where there's one or two guys running ATMs, they know that if you start and you use their data, you are going to be their direct competition. So they're not going to be sharing their data so easily. But who knows, give it a try. So the ATM that I'm looking at is $3,299, but there's features, there's accessories, and the one accessory that I would get is GPS tracking. This is for safety reasons, so if somebody steals it. All right, so we're going to be using this website, Coin ATM Radar, and we're going to be using my country, currently Poland. And in the city that I'm located, there are a grand total of 4 Bitcoin ATMs and tellers, of which these two I'm familiar with because they're from Warsaw. And if you go to Warsaw, these two are going to be there. I have no idea what this is, but we see that one's in a restaurant. One is in a shopping mall and the other is also a shopping mall. So I go to one of these shopping malls to do most of my transactions. In Warsaw, I've used both, and honestly, both are around the same rates. So this one says 3.9% and then selling 3.1%, while this one I also know it's just below 4%. So it could be 3.8 or 3.9, can't really remember. But this individual also has a Bitcoin news website, and I know he has his own kind of exchange where he had an office in Warsaw, and actually met him in person, and he was doing in-person exchanges. But that was back when local Bitcoins allowed it. I'm not really sure what's going on there, but he is growing his Bitcoin ATM network. But there's not a lot in Poland. And if you look over here in Europe, we see that, whoa, there's like barely anything going on in some countries. In the UK, we have 242. In Scotland, 11. Ireland, 7. Germany, 104. Netherlands, 130. In Russia, it's kind of interesting because I'm really not sure why it's split between. So 6 here, 5 there. I guess maybe it's because it's such a big area. So we can see that the majority of Bitcoin ATMs are around here. So 165. All right. I guess that's split between the Czech Republic and the Slovakian border. But in Poland, there's not that much going on. So there's 23, it seems, in this area, where most of it is in Warsaw, and there's 4 in Łódź, which is one of the larger cities. But right here, I see a bit of a hole. I see a hole here. I see holes here. There's not that much going on, and that's just for my country. In Ukraine, I know that the cryptocurrency sentiment is growing, so there's definitely more. But you can use this for your country and for your city and see actually how much is going on. But if we go to America, we suddenly see like crazy, bam, 1,229. But the problem with America is regulations and there needs to be licenses so we can actually go onto this Reddit post. I'm actually going to have all the links in the description. Is it worth it to invest in a Bitcoin ATM machine? So this was 4 years ago, and this individual was looking at an ATM that was worth $7,000. You will have to get a money transmitter license for your state and federal if memory serves. If you're in the US, probably take you a year to break even in the best circumstances. I do some work clearing out a few Bitcoin ATMs in my city, same size population of 1 million. I can say that they're quite busy and the volume only seems to be increasing. Depending on the percentage fee you charge, you could definitely make your money back in less than a year. One thing to take into account, you also have to buy enough Bitcoin to stock the hot wallet for the ATM, and you may need a fair bit for that. So you need money for both the Bitcoin and you need money for the fiat currency that's going to be in the ATM or ATMs. Once people realize it's there, you'd be surprised how quickly you sell out. So this individual says, is $5,000 in Bitcoin enough to start a wallet? And another individual is responding that it's a severe underestimation. It's not a hands-off operation, especially when Bitcoin's exploding. So the reason I'm excited about Poland is that in terms of dollar amounts, $5,000 actually might be a decent starting point. I think $10,000 would be better because there's less people who are into crypto here and there's less people who are making good money here, but it is growing slowly and thus there's very little competition. So if you're thinking in terms of dollar amounts, maybe in really expensive places, it's not going to be that great. This individual, I don't know why he got downvoted, but he actually gave a lot of great links and we're going to explore them. Two main things you need to address before diving your head into it is legal requirements and bank relationships. Another important thing to address is creating a full exchange cycle so you sell Bitcoins for cash and then somehow convert cash to Bitcoins. Normally you would have a bank account where you deposit cash and send to exchanges where you convert Bitcoins, but due to a lack of bank relations, it is very hard to find a partner for this. So make sure you paid enough attention to it and have a plan in case your bank account is closed. And this has happened many, many times before. I've never had a bank account closed due to Bitcoin, but I've had my Coinbase account closed and I was a little shocked. And this was back when I was selling and buying Bitcoin. And I was making anywhere from 10 to 25% off of each transaction, but it didn't last very long. Coinbase banned me. And I'm pretty sure it was because some of the addresses that were sending me money, in addition to the donations as well from both of my channels, might have been from sketchy sources, and Coinbase ultimately was like, you know what, it's too sketchy, see you, goodbye. Well, the same thing can happen with a bank. The bank doesn't really care. If it deems that what you're doing is a little sketchy, even if it's legal, even if it's 100% legal, they have the power to ban you or basically eliminate you from the clients list. Yeah, so they shut down your bank account. There's an ROI profitability calculator, but I plugged in 3%, which is around what the ATMs are using here. It said the break-even point is 6 years and 11 months, but I'm sure there's other things such as the rent and whatever, but it is in dollars though, so just translate it into euros or yen or whatever you have. There is a real example though, and these are high traffic locations. So for example, this one was at a hotel in Las Vegas, and in the first month, it brought in $150,000 in transactions. There was another one using Lamassu and BitAccess and Genesis One ATMs in various locations that brought in roughly $100,000 per month in volume. We have one in a pastry store, and it says that there's only 1 to 2 users per day. According to a survey, standard locations have volumes of about $20,000 per month, while prime locations bring 40 to 60. And an average markup rate, that's 5.5%. The gross profits are anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 per machine per month. The average transaction size is reported to be $150 to $200, and this is going to vary. It also varies whether you have a two-way ATM or a one-way ATM. So does it only let you purchase Bitcoin, or does it let you purchase and sell, which these in Poland are two-way ATMs? And that is definitely, like, if your competition is mainly two-way ATMs and you're only one-way, and you're trying to do the same rates, unless you're severely undercutting that competition, you're not really going to do too well, unless there's barely anybody in your city. So that's the thing. You have to find cities where there's one ATM or less. And there's, over a few 100,000 population, of course. This individual says that he sold 15,000 pounds worth of Bitcoins to about 150 people. So the earnings maximum were 750 pounds. Not taking into account all running costs. But anyways, there's a lot of stuff you can go through here. There's one in Slovakia, and this might be interesting if you're planning to actually run a Bitcoin ATM. How to start a Bitcoin ATM business. So bank relationships, regulations. If you're in the US, it's unless you have a lot of money, I wouldn't really go about this method. There's definitely other better ways in crypto to earn your money. In order to operate a Bitcoin ATM, you need to have a bank account. There are some ideas to build an unbanked Bitcoin ATM. However, it is more of a nice to have solution. Not practical nowadays. There are some Bitcoin machines with bill recyclers, but no special software available which will dynamically define the buy-sell prices based on cash or Bitcoin balances. Also, the local demand is limited, and Bitcoin ATMs have a very small user base compared to online services. So, those are things to keep in mind. But if you already have a lot of Bitcoin, you don't really need a bank account, to be quite honest, because you can sell some of your Bitcoins. This is perfect for seriously someone who's already invested in Bitcoin and they're going to sell at a profit no matter what, even if it falls half, which is not going to fall by half right now, but they're able to sell no matter what, and they decide, you know what, the safest way to go about this is Bitcoin ATMs, and also let's collect a profit on top of my profit already. Because selling it online, you could have scammers, while the biggest safety issue here is someone stealing your ATM, or stealing the money while you're getting the ATM, so that's why people sometimes hire services. Or you have accessories like GPS, and it's in a mall where there's already guards, and the risk is always there, but it's a low risk that someone's going to steal it. Location, so if you own a brick and mortar shop, that's great. You can already put it right there as long as you're paying taxes and everything's registered. But if you don't, well, you need to find something. And here's the top 5 places: a restaurant or pizzeria. So I've seen an ATM there. A cafe, coffee shop, a ice cream shop, a Bitcoin office or Bitcoin related store, a shopping mall, so that's where most of the ones in Poland I've seen, and supermarket stores. The Bitcoin ATM type, this one's recommending Genesis Coin, General Bytes, Llama2, and BitAxis. So it says a one-way solution, Satoshi 1 for $6.8 thousand. This one, a two-way Satoshi 2 machine for $2.1 thousand on top of the one-way price. So that's nearly $9,000. And there is an old Genesis 1 for $14.5 thousand. So you see these are pretty big amounts. There's a one-way Bitcoin BATM 2, and this was the one that I was actually looking into for $2,849, but it actually increased in price. So it's over $3,000 now. A two-way Bitcoin ATM, the version 3, that's for $7,000. There's the Llama2 6.5. There's a two-way 5.5 stand on top of the 6.5. So in total, it's going to be $12,000. And BitAxis provides a two-way Bitcoin ATM machine for $7,000, but that's not the only fees that you have to pay. So depending on your volume and fee size, revenue and cost of running. So the legal cost, this is a great resource, this one, revenue and cost of running a Bitcoin ATM. I'm not going to go to the legal cost because that's a lot already right there, but there's hardware costs, there's rent payments, cash collection services. So if you're hiring ex-military guys, liquidity required for the operation. Liquidity funds required for smooth operation of machines depend on the volume, but on average $30,000 per month. You need to have about $10,000-15,000 in both fiat and Bitcoin funds locked. In case volume is $60K per month, you need higher funds volume. Usually you have to replace funds within a week. Customer support services, so if you have that, or you could be just the one where the ATMs here in Poland, I called somebody and it was the owner or one of the employees for the owner. And here is what I was looking for. Bitcoin manufacturer costs. So 1% from transaction volume from Genesis Coin. You have 0.5% from General Bytes. In case you use a server, Llama2 is $100 per month for support, but it's optional. And then you have BitAxis 20% from earned fees. So you're going to have to check with whoever you buy what the fees are going to be like. And here are 5 ATMs, thanks to Bitcoin.com. The world's top crypto ATM providers. Llama2, we have one for $5,900, $10,000, a two-way for $8,500, and a recent one for $4,000. This is how they look. They're pretty small. General Bytes, these are the ones that I'm thinking of, the small ones, and I've actually seen one. This is why I'm thinking of this. I saw one at Bobby Burgers. It's like a burger joint here. It's kind of an American one, and it's nearby. It's a Prague-based company, so, just in case. It is free shipping, but if in case I wanted to check it out or I had any problems, if it was an American-based company, I'd kind of be screwed. But since it's right across the border over here, hey, why not? A few hours trip and maybe I'm able to resolve all my issues. That would be if I bought it and if there were any issues. And the new price is $32.49, but then you have to have like $200 for a GPS or $300, so it's going to be a little bit more expensive. You have a larger one for $4,000 if you want it with a stand. If If you want it with a stand, it's going to be around the $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 range. There's the latest model with this stand right there. Genesis coin is this is pretty cool, and this one is I think the one that I saw at the mall. I think this one is in Warsaw, but this one's the local one that I use, and this one's actually $14,500 because it is two-way. It weighs also 300 pounds, so think of how you're going to get that in. You're probably going to have to hire a crew unless you get, you know, some buddies and you put it in. And then here's one for $6,000 to $8,000, and this has a touch screen, so that's pretty nice. Most have touch screens, but not all. There's other companies that produce, but these are the top producers right here. And Sumo has these weird ones. I've never seen them before, and this goes from anywhere from $6,600 to I don't know what this white label thing is. That I guess it makes it like it's your own, but it goes all the way up to $55,000. So that's a lot. However, this does support Bitcoin, Litecoin, BCH, Ethereum, and Monero, which not all of these ATMs support everything. For example, this one is just, you know, you have a Bitcoin one and here's an Ethereum one. Obviously, there's a lot of info. I don't want to make this too long. It's probably already long, but it's best if you have $50,000. However, if you're in a cheaper country, you could get away with $10,000 to $15,000 worth of starting capital, which is what I would like to go for. But the first thing, I'm going to go in phases. First, I want to buy the machine. Then I want to find the cheapest rent possible, the cheapest location. Then I'm going to start off a little bit. But there's also a problem, and this problem, really got to think about this one. What happens if the machine goes down? If it's already been promoted, the marketing and promotion I didn't really talk about because I would be able to do that for free or pay a few bucks, and there's a lot of places you can request that, but some people might have to pay a little bit. However, if your machine goes down or if you run out of money and somebody comes in and they're not able to use it and they call you and you're unavailable at that time because you didn't really get any customer service, it's just you that's working on this and maybe you have a few machines, well, you get a negative review. And what happens if you get multiple negative reviews? Well, people stop coming to your ATM, so you're going to have to move it. And eventually, you know, if you're not taking care of it, if it grows too quickly, you're just going to go under. That's just how it's going to work. So it's not impossible to go under. Anyways, that is that. Thanks, guys, if you watched this. I wish you all a beautiful rest of the day. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share. Bye.